Hi, Jamie. It's great to be together to talk about my favorite subject, investor relations, and to delve into some issues that are really top of mind for our clients today, really centering around how to find new investors, how to make sure the wrong investors aren't coming into the story, and how to really prove out the value that they're bringing to their IR program. So with those themes in mind, I'd love to delve into how we can utilize information that we now have available to us to expand targeting efforts for our clients.
Thanks, Karen. I'm really excited to be here today as well. Something that a lot of our clients ask about is targeting and how to make sure that their IR program is in front of the right investors and that they're using management times effectively. We recently had a client who reached out to us and asked us to go find some prospective shareholders. Now, the typical analysis for that would be to look at a peer company's holdings and see if there was any good holders in any of the peers who would be worthwhile for this company. But we went a little bit further than that. We decided to actually dig into who was engaging with that story, who was on their website, who was downloading their press releases, who was looking at their sustainability report. And what was interesting was that it actually uncovered a lot of quality shareholders that we wouldn't have found previously. And now that IR program is engaging with these new prospects and is showing a lot of results.
That's fantastic, and it just shows me how old school I am because these tools were not available when I was practicing IR. Now, I imagine that there's a risk in that for the IRO because there's always this fear of wasting management's time. I mean, I know when I was practicing IR, I had an investor that took 2 years from start to finish, really demanded a lot of my management team's time, and my management team was not happy about it, and they kept pushing back on me about bringing this investor back because I hadn't taken a position. And it took until that investor finally purchased a very sizable position for me to get the acknowledgement from the team that I had not wasted their time and that this did end exactly where we wanted it to. It would be fantastic if there was a tool that demonstrated that progress along the way. Even for investors that take a shorter period of time to invest, it's great to not have to wait for that moment to come. So is there a way that this information can be applied to demonstrating kind of an ROI?
One of the things that we can look at is we can look at your investor relations efforts on a timeline. It might start with the hitting of the website, it might start with an earnings call, but then you can show the meetings that you've had after that. And even if it does take a few years to get into a position, that will still show up, and you can overlay that with ownership to really give your management a nice picture of the IR effectiveness.
That's also just got to be tremendously helpful because it's something we hear consistently from the IROs that we work with. Let's go to the other side of the spectrum. How can this information be helpful in identifying investors that we might not want in the story or who we want to keep a close eye on?
So any type of activist activity or any nefarious activity is really important for IROs to stay on top of, because usually an investor is going to look up the story and do work on the stock before they take a position. So to know that they hit your website, to know that they were on your earnings call, to know that they're downloading your sustainability report months before they maybe take a position, and maybe even a long time before they take a 13D filing, is really, really important. And what we're able to do is identify that activity, alert the IRO, and give them an activist preparedness guide of what should they do in that position. Okay, you need to get your management team together. You might need to hire a law firm. You might need to hire an advisory firm. But to just be ready for if anything occurs is really important.
Yeah, I mean, as someone who has had activists in my stock, I can tell you that the worst thing that could have happened to me is to be the last person to know if that activist was paying attention to my story and I didn't pick up on it. So I can imagine how helpful getting a heads up on that kind of information will be. So as a wrap up, Jamie, what would you advise our clients to do if they're faced with these problems?
Well, Karen, at the end of the day, it's about knowing what's going on in your stock. Who's buying, who's selling, who's in and out, what's driving it up, what's driving it down. And the ability to be able to look at the whole ecosystem and include that web data, include that activity data, pair that with your surveillance data is extremely helpful. And it allows you ultimately to get in front of the right investors, show our ROI to management, and be alerted in case any activist activity.
Yeah, it really is a comprehensive exercise from start to finish. Well, thank you so much for your time today. It was great to talk about all of these new and exciting ways that we can help our clients, and I look forward to further conversations on this.
Absolutely, Karen. We've been so successful in such a short amount of time. I can't wait to see where this goes.
Same here.